We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. Grace Smith is with us. She's the Executive Director, Tennessee Council on Aging of Middle Tennessee. Taking your calls if you want to jump in. Again, 737-7587, talking about some of the issues about everything from property taxes, which are about to go up for a lot of people here in the Middle Tennessee area, to the possibility of property tax freeze. And so there's a lot of help out there. Would you imagine, it's great that we do these programs and you get the word out. Are there pretty clearly in your mind people out there that definitely would benefit from some of these programs and simply are not aware of them?
Yes.
Meaning that there's money that can be saved and they just don't know, and so they're not applying, and so they're paying more than they should or need to.
Absolutely. The other thing that Charlie told me is there are people that qualify for the tax freeze, and he said 500 people last year qualified, and then they couldn't reach them for the reapplication process, so they fell off the rolls.
What did they just didn't have the address? Or
they had moved, or they couldn't reach them by phone. He said that that they did everything they could, and now they've changed the application to require a second family member or contact
to track them down,
so that they can track them down, because he said it's just a shame if you qualify once to not qualify again.
I agree. I agree. And listen, stick with us at the end of the program. I'll have the numbers out on how you call to get some of the information you need from either your county or from the Tennessee Council on Aging in Middle Tennessee. Let's go next to Betty. Hi, Betty.
Hello.
Hello, Betty. What can we do for you?
Well, I was calling about, I follow you on Facebook, by the way. I'm from Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Oh, great. Thank you.
And I just called, I don't know if they're going to have a tax increase here in Bowling Green or not. I own my own home, and I'm a widow. But I was calling about the senior places in Tennessee. There's a real nice place in Orlando that I've been to when my husband was living, and it's a beautiful place that seniors can go if they can get there and have financial, if they're financially able to go. And there's one in Lafayette, Tennessee. I don't know if y'all had that on the news or not, but it's a good place to check out.
Are you talking about like living facilities, places you can move to?
Oh, no. It's a place where they have a band and a dance for seniors.
Oh, okay, like senior centers. Okay, I hear what you're saying. All right, let's see if she has some suggestions on that. First of all, I know you're Tennessee all the way, but I would imagine this is an issue that's nationwide when property taxes, the relief. You imagine somewhere, Kentucky maybe, and I would imagine your property value is going up too in Kentucky. She could check, what would you do if you're in another state like she is, and we do have viewers in Kentucky. I don't know, where would you start in your community to call?
A lot of the information that we pulled on this issue was from the Tennessee Comptroller of the Treasury. Okay. So I would imagine in Kentucky or any state there's a similar office at the state level that would have information, as well as the county offices or the county trustee.
So not every county or every community has a council on aging, do they?
No. There may be similar organizations, but we're unique to Middle Tennessee.
That's what I figured. And she makes a good point, too. There's different places that have, maybe some are more highly evolved than others, senior centers that, are set up to draw people and allow, like she said, dances or whatever, social activities.
Really, in our area, 50 Forward has a number of senior centers.
There's a bunch.
Throughout. There's Madison, Bellevue, Donaldson, very active centers, all with different focuses. So I think that certainly those centers or other community centers, the YMCAs are getting more involved. They offer silver sneakers now. And one thing that we are learning more and more from research is the importance of staying physically active as you age. There's a physician at Vanderbilt, Dr. Bill P.3, who's a very prominent dementia specialist, and whenever he lectures around town, he always tells people you need to walk a mile a day. Walk at least a mile a day. Do something active. It will help your brain. It will help your body. We all need to be doing that regardless of what age we are. But he really preaches it to older adults in particular.
You're right. Silver sneakers. I see them all the time.
Yes.
All the time at the YMCA I go to. Let's go to James. Hi, James.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning, James.
Yes. My concern, and you may have addressed this earlier because I joined you a little bit late, But my concern is for senior citizens is this reverse mortgage. The misinformation about this reverse mortgage. And I tell the people that I come in contact with, when any agency spends hundreds of thousands of dollars to advertise something, it's got to be more in their benefit than it is in yours. And the misinformation about this, and I tell most of the seniors at my age, and I'm 75, that if a bank wants you to spend money up front, $500 or $600 up front, before they will even look at your property or tell you what your property is worth, don't do it. Don't spend your $500 or $600 having them appraise it. They can get a reasonable appraisal of your property just by looking at the tax records. So don't let them talk you into spending money up front in order to get a reverse mortgage. And in the end, if you really look at the reverse mortgage, but your relatives can't afford to buy the property back at the end of this term or at the time you leave the property. So be careful when you look at these reverse mortgage and never spend any money up front, hundreds of dollars up front, to have them appraise your property.
All right. Well, thank you. You know, we have and thanks for your call and your point on that. Tim Takis is an elder law attorney, very respected here. And I don't know if do you know of him?
Yes, absolutely.
That guy knows his stuff. And we've talked about reverse mortgages before, and he doesn't advocate necessarily one way or the other, but he just says, you know, they work maybe for some, and for other people it's not going to work right. And then, of course, if it's done properly, some people may be approached. I see you even have a chapter on it in the book,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, we do. We have information on HUD has approved reverse mortgage counselors, and we always advise people to talk to an approved counselor. Get all the information before you make a decision about that. It's really important. Know the pros and cons before you do that.
And for some people, I believe it does work. Other people, it's not right for you. And then I don't know about the fees he was talking about up front. You may be right. There's other ways to go about doing it. You don't want to ever be pressured to do that. So you're saying if someone is getting that recommendation, they're not entirely sure. And on its face, initially, some people may say that sounds pretty good. Get the booklet, and there'll be information there where you can call people that are impartial.
Exactly.
And kind of say, okay, tell us your situation.
Yes.
And we'll tell you if this is something that might be helpful for you.
Makes sense for you. And
that's the whole key for everything.
For everything. Do your homework. You know, talk to someone you can trust. Give us a call, get a copy of the directory, and find out more about it before you make that decision. And one of the things, Nick, that I think is important to bring up, because we receive calls from older adults who are really concerned about being victims of scams. And not that reverse mortgages are scams, but there are scam artists out there who may pose as a reverse mortgage specialist, or may pose as a landscaper trying to sell mulch or do roof repair. That happened to my grandfather. There are a lot of scam artists out there preying on older people, and it's something to be very aware of. We have a Scam of the Month email that we send out. It's free to sign up for that subscription, and we keep older adults aware of the latest scams that are going on and how to protect themselves.
And why do you think it is? Because this has happened with my own folks, and it's happened now. I understand if someone has gotten to the point where they've aged to the point where they're suffering from dementia or some form of Alzheimer's, where they're more likely to believe something because they're just not right in the head anymore. But there are many that are just fine, but they're isolated, and they get some of these calls. Specifically, one that I got recently. I don't know how they got my number or whatever, but it's one of those scam artists that are pretending to be with the IRS, and it's a very official sounding call. And I wanted to hit the button to talk to the guy and just chew his butt, but it's like the way they were. It was a recording initially. It was like, we are the IRS. It's official, and there's outstanding debt, and you need to call us now, or there will be legal action taken. It's scary sounding. So what is it? Is it that because they're isolated, something they never would have fallen for 5-10 years ago, they're taking seriously now? What is it for seniors? Why?
I think that's part of it. I also think it's more prevalent now, and I think that older adults tend to be more trusting.
I agree with that.
Because this didn't exist 10, 20 years
Yeah,
ago. We
and
did
they
not
think-
have all these scammers out there trying to take advantage of
that's
people.
just it. They're trusting. They're not stupid.
No.
They're good people, and they're trusting, and this scares them, and then they decide to be proactive, which is what just infuriates me about the folks that prey on them.
I
Those
agree.
calls, not only could it cost them the money, but even if they're somehow able not to send the money and figure out that it's a scam later, that call and the moments after they get off the phone or get that message has got to send their blood pressure up and rattle their cage and get them worrying for the next 2 or 3 days until and I get emails a lot of times from seniors saying, Nick, I got this, and I just say, listen, IRS doesn't contact you that way. They never do. They never will. You just hang up and ignore it and don't worry about it. I send more of those out. IRS doesn't work that way.
Exactly. I must get 1 or 2 emails a day through my email. So there's a lot of internet scams out there, but also email scams, looking like it's from a credit card company or a bank, saying, we need you to verify your personal information. Please click on this link. Don't do it. Do not do it. Just delete that email, because they will not contact you that way. And 9 times out of 10, if you look at the sender's address, it is not from the bank. It's oftentimes from a student address or someone who's desperate for money.
Some P.O. box. But you know what? The letters sometimes look very official. And, and so it's easy. The general rule of thumb, 100% of the time, is that none of these organizations that are legit ever ask you for money in this way or by door. So you can just say, if I get any of this stuff, just throw it away and ignore it. And if it gets bad enough and it's legit, someone's going to come to your door, or you're going to have a legitimate contact through a phone call that you can tell is real. I mean, just ignore it. Just ignore it. And it's so frustrating when this happens, because we on this news business, we do stories where people give away their life savings because
it's
of
heartbreaking,
something.
really.
And once that money's gone, by the way, usually they're offshore, these calls coming in.
Right.
The police would love to track it, and they can't.
Right.
You know? So,
You're right.
You know what I do? I've suggested to many people that when you get these calls, get one of those air horns. And so when the person's on the other line, and the moment you hear them ask for money, you say, oh, okay, tell me more. And while they're talking, you take the air horn and put it right up to the receiver and blast it. So when they're talking to you, it's boom, hits their ear, and then hang up. Have fun with the headache the rest of the day. Now, that's what I do. I don't know if that's for you, but I have no problem doing that to someone. Let's go next to Shirley. Hi, Shirley.
Hi.
Hey, go ahead, Shirley.
Yeah, I wonder if you could have her explain the difference between the tax relief and the tax freeze. Now, I think that I'm on the tax relief already, but I'm a widow of a veteran, and I was wondering if she could explain that again.
You bet. That's great. Okay.
That's a good question. The tax relief.
And she's a widow of a veteran, so this would qualify.
Okay. The tax relief program has a lower income threshold. So the income threshold for that is $29,180, and that's basically like a credit. You still have to pay your property tax, but you will get reimbursed by the state, usually in the tune of $540 to $620 a year if you meet those income limits. And one thing that's important to mention with tax relief is that the maximum market value that they calculate the tax relief will be the first $23,500 of your primary residence. So it's not the full value of your home, and that's why that amount is relatively low. The $540 to $620 range that you receive basically is a rebate check from the state. So you pay your tax with tax relief, then you would, if you qualify, you get a check back from the state reimbursing you for part of that.
I see. Okay, so it would be a rebate.
That's the tax relief.
And again, the income levels and such, it's all income that you're getting is calculated, including Social Security, right?
Yes.
Whatever it is you're getting in, that's
adjusted gross income is how it was explained to me. Now the tax freeze has higher income limits, and they vary by county. So in Davidson County, for example, that income limit is $41,660. If you are at or under that income limit, then your property tax is frozen at that level of your home's assessed value. It will not go up in future years as long as you stay under that income threshold. It freezes your property tax.
And as long as you keep reapplying, it will do that
every
year
year.
after year.
You have to recertify that you're under the income limit every year.
Because that can change. Yeah.
It could change.
But otherwise.
That's the difference.
On that note, let's take a break. When we come back, more of your calls. Our final segment, if you want to jump in. There have been some good questions, and we don't mind clarifying for you if some of it's still unclear. But also stay tuned. At the end of the program, we'll have the phone numbers for you to call so that you can get more of this information if you want to get the booklet or find out about the application process. We'll be back right after this.